dangerous. Imagine this, it's the year 1999. The entire world is terrified. People believe computers might crash, banks might collapse, airplanes might fall from the sky, and some even believe the world might end. Now imagine living in a small Korean town during this chaos. A town where people start disappearing, a mysterious religious group begins attracting followers, strange accidents keep occurring, and suddenly a group of ordinary citizens develop superpowers. Sounds like Stranger Things, maybe sounds like Squid Game, right? Surprisingly, yes. Well, Netflix recently released Korean drama The Wonderfools somehow combines elements of both. But here's the most shocking part. Some viewers believe that the drama's cult storyline feels eerily similar to real life Korean cult. In this video, I'll break down the story, the characters and their power, the Stranger Things similarities, the Squid Game parallels, the cult storyline, and why Wonderfools might be one of Netflix Korea's smartest dramas yet. The Wonderfools K-drama is set in 1999. The entire world is panicking because of Y2K. So, what's Y2K? It's the year 2000s or the millennium year. Set against this backdrop, Haesung City begins experiencing strange incidents. Citizens start disappearing, a mysterious church gains influence, and several ordinary residents suddenly acquire superpowers. Unlike Marvel heroes, these characters are awkward, flawed, and often fail miserably. The superpowers are actually a distraction. The real story is about fear. Fear changes people, fear changes communities. Fear changes entire societies. The writers choose 1999 very carefully. This wasn't a random nostalgic setting. 1999 was the year of Y2K panic. Many people genuinely believed computers would fail and civilization would collapse when the year 2000 arrived. Religious groups made apocalyptic predictions. Conspiracy theories spread everywhere. People were desperate for answers. And whenever people became desperate, someone always appears claiming they have all the answers. That idea became the foundation of the Wonderfools K-drama. Now let's talk about the characters in this story and their powers. Sun Cheney, played by Park Eun-bin, the heart of the story. Cheney is not a typical heroine. Known around Haesong as the town's famous train wreck, Cheney is a rebellious 27-year-old who has spent her entire life battling a congenital heart condition. She is feisty, impulsive, and enduringly chaotic, and completely unwilling to let anyone tell her what she can or cannot do. Behind her bold personality, however, is someone carrying years of frustration, fear, and emotional scars from living a sheltered life shaped by illness. Her unpredictable behavior often acts as shield, protecting her from vulnerability and the uncertainty of her future. That makes her one of the most relatable characters in the series. Then something impossible happens. After suffering a near-death experience, she develops supernatural abilities. One of the powers shown in promotional materials is teleportation, and symbolically, it couldn't fit her character better. After years of feeling trapped by physical limitations, she suddenly gains the ability to move anywhere in an instant. But unlike Marvel heroes, she cannot control it perfectly. Sometimes she appears where she doesn't want to. Sometimes her powers create more problems than solutions. And that's exactly why audiences love her, because she is a human first and a superhero second. Our next character is Lee Eun-jung, played by Cha Eun-woo. Initially appearing as a rule-abiding, socially awkward civil servant from Seoul, Eun-jung quickly proves to be much more than he seems. Beneath his quiet exterior is a deeply conflicted and mysterious lone wolf carrying the weight of a traumatic past. His biggest goal isn't fame, heroism, or even justice. It's finding his birth mother and escaping the shadows of his own history. That personal mission drives many of his decisions and keeps his true intentions difficult to read. As a result, his allegiances often feel morally grey, leaving both the characters and the audiences wondering where exactly he stands. Unlike the more chaotic members of the group, Eun-jung approaches every situation with caution and calculation. He is observant, guarded, and constantly searching for answers. But what makes Unjong especially fascinating is the origin of that power. As the story unfolds, we learn that he was one of the victims of Dr. Ha Won-do's experiments during childhood. Long before the events of the series, Unjong's life was shaped by the scientist's obsession with creating superhuman beings. That revelation completely changes how viewers see him. He is not simply a hero with powers, he is a survivor, a living reminder of the damage caused by Hawondo's ambitions. Then comes his supernatural ability, telekinesis, which is the purported psychic ability to influence, move, or manipulate physical objects without any physical contact or interaction. His abilities also come with a familiar visual detail that immediately caught the attention of many viewers. Whenever he pushes his telekinetic power to their limits, he experiences nosebleeds, the power to move and manipulate objects with his mind. While the rest of the team often provides comedic energy and unpredictable chaos, Unjong brings something different. He brings the cool factor, the emotional weight, and a serious edge that grounds the story whenever things spiral out of control. His power may be impressive, but what truly makes him compelling is the mystery surrounding him. The more we learn about Unjong, the more questions emerge, and that's exactly what makes him one of Wonderful's most intriguing characters. Our next character is Son Kyung-hoon, played by Choi Dae-hoon. Haesong City's chief complainer and self-appointed watchdog. Kyung-hoon is the definition of an ordinary man caught in extraordinary circumstances. He is a middle-aged civil servant struggling through a personal slump, juggling family pressures, everyday frustration, and a lingering sense that life hasn't turned out the way he expected. That combination makes him both relatable and hilarious. Kyung-won constantly finds himself dragged into Cheney's reckless plans, usually against his better judgment. No matter how hard he tries to stay out of trouble, trouble somehow finds him. His constant complaints, nervous reactions, and accidental involvement in the town's biggest mysteries makes him one of the show's most entertaining characters. Then comes his power, wall climbing, the ability to stick to visually any surface. It's a power that sounds ridiculous at first, which makes it perfect for the Wonderful's quirky tone. Watching an average office worker suddenly crawling up walls create some of the drama's funniest moments. Together with Cheney and Robin, Kyung-hoon helps form the show's comedic backbone, while proving that even the most ordinary people can become unexpected heroes. Our fourth Wonderful is Kang Robin, played by Im Song-jae. Known throughout Haesong as a town's pushover, Robin carries deep emotional scars from years of relentless bullying. His quiet personality and lack of confidence make him an easy target. But beneath that timid exterior is someone with remarkable loyalty and resilience. He is Cheney's closest friend and one of the few people willing to stand by her no matter how chaotic her plans become. In fact, he is the unfortunate accomplice who gets pulled into her fake kidnapping scheme, setting off a chain of events that helps drive the story forward. Robin rarely seeks attention. He doesn't want power, he doesn't want recognition, he simply wants to belong. That's what makes him such a sympathetic character. Then fate gives him the last thing anyone expected, super strength. Suddenly, the guy everyone underestimated becomes physically stronger than anyone around him. The contrast is both funny and meaningful. A character who spent years feeling powerless gains one of the most powerful abilities imaginable. Yet, despite his newfound strength, Robin remains the same kind hearted and loyal friend audiences quickly root for. Another one of the most important characters in this series is Kim Jong-book, played by Kim Hye-sok. Strict but deeply loving Kim Jong-book is Cheney's grandmother and one of the most influential figures in Haesong City. To most residents, she is simply the respected owner of a popular local restaurant. She is practical, protective, and never afraid to speak her mind. Her restaurants serve as a community hub where townspeople gather, exchange gossip, and unknowingly reveal pieces of the larger mystery. But John Book's role in the story goes far beyond running a restaurant. What Cheney doesn't know is that her grandmother was once a powerful local businesswoman and the primary financier behind the mysterious Hawando lab. a research facility that once stood on the site now used as the town's trash dump. That revelation completely changes how viewers sees her character. Suddenly her knowledge of Haesong's secret makes sense. She is not merely aware of the town's hidden history, she helped shape it. Haunted by what happened at the lab and the consequences of the experiments conducted there, Jeonbok has spent years quietly watching over lab's former victims. In many ways, her actions suggest a woman carrying guilt, responsibility, and a desire to make amends for the past. This gives her character a fascinating moral complexity. She is neither a straightforward hero nor a villain. Instead, she is someone trying to balance love for her family with the burden of decisions made long ago. While younger characters rely on supernatural abilities, Chonbok's greatest strength are influence, resources, and knowledge. Every appearance raises new questions. How much does she really know? What role did she play in the lab's creation? And how far is she willing to go to protect both Cheney and the people affected by Howon-do's lab's legacy? Those mysteries make Kim Jong-book one of the most compelling and important characters in The Wonderfools. Now let's talk about the villains of this story. Unlike many superhero stories that rely on simple good versus evil conflicts, Wonderfools gives its villain tragic motivations and deeply personal stakes. And at the center of everything stands one man, Ha Won-do. Hawando is just not the main antagonist. He is the architect behind the entire mystery. A brilliant but dangerously obsessed scientist, Hawando founded a cutting edge research laboratory dedicated to creating superhuman beings known as the Wonder Kinder. To him, science wasn't about helping humanity, it was about transcending it. His experiments pushed ethical boundaries far beyond what society could accept. When the true nature of his research was exposed, the laboratory was shut down and Hawando was sentenced to prison, where he spent the next 20 years of his life. But prison didn't change him. It only gave him more time to obsess over his life's work. Upon release, he reunites with the surviving Wunderkinder who still view him as a father figure. To them, he isn't a criminal. He is their creator, their savior, the only person who might be able to cure the devastating side effects caused by his experiments. Hawando's ultimate goal is even more terrifying. He is searching for a long lost former test subject whom he considers his masterpiece, a missing piece of the puzzle that he believes could unlock the secret to immortality. What makes Hawan though such a compelling villain is that he doesn't see himself as a villain. He sees himself as a visionary, a man willing to sacrifice anything in pursuit of scientific evolution. And history has shown us that some of the most dangerous people are those who genuinely believe they are saving the world. Let's talk about the Wonderkinder. The first one is Sokjuran. Among the surviving Wonderkinder, Sokjuran may be one of the most frightening. Juran possesses the ability to manipulate people's mind through her voice. With a few carefully chosen words, she can influence thoughts, emotions, and decisions. It's a power that perfectly fits Wonderful's larger themes about persuasion, influence, and control. As one of Hawando's most loyal followers, Juran has spent years waiting for his return. Like the other Wonderkinder, she suffers from worsening side effects caused by the experiments. Her loyalty isn't driven solely by devotion, it's also driven by desperation. She believes Hawando is the only person capable of saving her. That combination of faith and fear makes her incredibly dangerous because people who believe they have nothing left to lose are often willing to do anything. The second one is Sok Horan. If Churan controls mind, Horan controls perception. Her abilities allow her to project fantasy worlds and powerful hallucination onto those around her. She can distort reality itself, creating illusions so convincing that people struggle to distinguish truth from fiction. Horan uses this power to conceal Wondo's laboratory, surrounding it with hallucinatory images that prevent law enforcement and outsiders from discovering what's really happening. Horan's ability turned that question into literal weapon. The last one of them is Kim Palho. Kimpalo brings raw destructive power to the Wonder Kingdom. His ability allows him to manipulate gravity itself. With enough force, he can pin enemies to the ground, alter movement, and creating devastating attacks that make him one of the most physically dangerous characters in the series. Yet, like other Wonderkinder, Palo is more than just a villain with powers. He is also a victim of Habando's experiments, a man whose life was permanently altered by someone he still chooses to follow. That contradiction lies at the heart of Wonderful's villain narrative. The Wonderkinder are not simply monsters, they are survivors, broken individuals searching for purpose, belonging, and a cure. And that complexity makes them far more compelling than traditional comic book villains. Why Wonderfools feels like Stranger Things? Most viewers immediately compare Wonderfools to Stranger Things because both involve supernatural powers. But that's actually the smallest similarity. The real similarity is structure. When people started watching Wonderfools, one comparison appeared repeatedly: Stranger Things. And honestly, the similarities are hard to ignore. Similarity number one: a small town mystery. Both stories take place in seemingly ordinary towns. In Stranger Things, Hawkins appears normal. In Wonderfools, Haesong City appears normal. But underneath the surface, something dark is happening. People disappear, authorities hide information, residents slowly uncover a much larger conspiracy. This storytelling structure is almost identical. Similarity number two: ordinary people becomes heroes. One of Stranger Things' biggest strength was that its heroes were ordinary kids. They weren't superheroes, they were regular people forced into extraordinary situations. Wonderfuls follow a similar formula. The characters don't start as powerful heroes, they are struggling individuals trying to survive their own problems. Then circumstances force them to become protectors. Similarity number three: supernatural events. Stranger Things introduce psychic powers and alternate dimensions. Wonderfools introduces superpowers through mysterious events connected to the town. Both series use supernatural elements as a gateway to a larger mystery. The powers themselves aren't the real story. The conspiracy behind them is. Similarity number four: government secret. Another major Stranger Things theme is hidden government activity. The public only sees the surface, the truth is buried underneath. The Wonderfuls appears to explore similar territory. Several clues suggest powerful organizations know more than ordinary citizens. This creates tension and suspense throughout the narrative. In comparison to Stranger Things, let's talk about why Lee Eun-jung's character was quite similar to Eleven's character in Stranger Things. At first glance, Lee Eun-jung and Levin share far more similarities than most viewers realize. Both possesses extraordinary abilities. Both become central figures in a much larger mystery. Both are connected to secret experiment and both spend their lives dealing with the consequences of power they never asked for. Similarity number one: victim of childhood experiments. One of the biggest parallels between the two characters is their origin story. In Stranger Things, Eleven develops her abilities after being subjected to experiments at Hawkins' lab. Her childhood is shaped by manipulation, isolation, and scientific testing. Similarly, Wonderfuls reveal that Lee Eun-jung was a victim of Dr. Wondo's experiments during his childhood. Those experiments awakened or created the special abilities he possesses in the present timeline. This means neither character was simply born a hero, they were shaped by traumatic experiences imposed upon them by powerful adults. Similarity number two: extraordinary powers come with a cost. For Eleven, her abilities makes her a target. She is constantly hunted, feared, and exploited. The same applies to Lee Eun-jung. His powers may give him advantages, but they also connect him to dangerous secrets that powerful people want to keep hidden. In both stories, power is not a gift, it's a burden. Similarity number three: they hold the key to the mystery. Eleven is deeply connected to the central mystery of Hawkins. Without her, the truth behind the supernatural events would remain hidden. Lee Jong appears to serve as a similar role in Wonderfools. His connection to Dr. Hawondo's experiments may be the key to understanding the disappearances, the strange phenomena, and the larger conspiracy surrounding Haesong. But there are some major differences in them also. Difference number one, their personality. Eleven is quite often emotionally guarded and socially isolated because of her upbringing. Lee Jong approaches situations differently. He relies on logic, investigation, and evidence. Rather than reacting emotionally, he actively searches for answers. This makes him feel less like a survivor to escape the past and more like someone determined to uncover it. Difference number two, the role in the story. 11 is primarily the supernatural weapon that others seek to protect. Lee Jong functions as both an investigator and a victim. He isn't just connected to the mystery, he is actively trying to solve it. That gives him a more proactive role within the narrative. Difference number three, cultural context. 11's story reflects American fears surrounding secret government experiments and Cold War paranoia. Lee Jong's story feels rooted in Korean themes of social control, hidden influence, cult like authority, and the abuse of power by trusted figures. Different cultures, different histories, but surprisingly similar warnings. But why this comparison matters? The comparison isn't about claiming Wonderfools copied Stranger Things. It's about recognizing how both stories use a traumatized individual with extraordinary abilities to explore larger societal fears. 11 represents the consequences of unchecked experimentation. Leon-Jong represents the consequence of manipulation, secrecy, and abuse, disguised as authority, and that makes him one of the most fascinating characters in The Wonderfools. Why Wonderfools feels like the Squid Game? Another interesting similarity that caught my attention while watching The Wonderfools was the visual design of some scenes involving children and the test subjects being taken to Dr. Hawondo's laboratory. The uniforms worn by several of these children bear a noticeable resemblance to the green tracksuits seen in Squid Game. Now, this could simply be a creative choice, but it becomes even more intriguing when viewed alongside the real life history that may have inspired Squid Game itself. In one of my previous videos, which I'll link in the description and the I button, I explored the disturbing case of the Brothers' Home, a real institution in South Korea where vulnerable people, including children, were confined and subjected to abuse under the guise of rehabilitation. While there is no evidence that supernatural experiments were conducted there, the imagery of institutionalized children, forced control, and people being treated as subjects rather than human beings creates a striking thematic connection. In The Wonderfools, Dr. Hawondo's experiment on children and his obsession with creating superhumans echo the same dark idea. What happens when powerful individuals view vulnerable people as their tools for their own ambitions rather than as human beings deserving dignity and freedom? The cult storyline and real-life Korean history. This section completely changes how you view the drama because for Korean audiences, suspicious religious groups aren't just fictional villains. They are connected to real history. South Korea has experienced multiple controversial religious movements. Some attracted thousands, some attracted millions, some became political, some became criminal investigations. As a result, Korean audiences instantly recognize certain warning signs. Before we move ahead, here's an important disclaimer. There is no official confirmation from Netflix or the creators of The Wonderfools that this is directly based on JMS, Shincheonji, or any specific religious organization. What I am discussing here is a comparison of themes, storytelling patterns, and cultural context based on the drama's narrative and South Korea's history with the controversial cult moment. Now, let's talk about one of the darkest aspects of The Wonderfools. At the center of the story lies the Church of Salvation. On the surface, it appears to be a religious movement offering hope to frightened people during the Y2K panic. As the year 2000 approaches, rumors of the world's end spread rapidly, and fear begins to consume the residents of Haesong City. The church takes advantage of that uncertainty, promising salvation and safety to anyone willing to believe. But as the story unfolds, viewers discover that faith was never its real purpose. The church is merely a carefully constructed mask hiding a decade-old conspiracy orchestrated by Dr. Hawando. While the congregation prays for salvation, Hawando secretly continues his unethical experiments, hoping to create regenerative abilities and ultimately achieve immortality. The church's influence also serves as another purpose, distracting the townspeople from the horrifying truth buried beneath Haesong's past, including the dark secret of the orphanage and the illegal human experiments connected to Hawondo's lab. This manipulation of fear and blind devotion feels eerily familiar when compared to several real-life cult scandals in South Korea. One of the most well-known examples is Jung Myung-suk, the founder of JMS. For decades, he portrayed himself as a charismatic spiritual leader and a Masiha-like figure, attracting devoted followers before numerous former members came forward with allegations of manipulation, coercion, and abuse. The case later gained worldwide attention through the Netflix documentary In the Name of God, A Holy Betrayal. While The Wonderfools is never directly references JMS, both stories explore similar psychological patterns, creating fear, positioning a leader as the only source of hope, discouraging independent thinking, and gradually tightening control over followers. The real similarity isn't the people or the event themselves, but the way it influences and is built through uncertainty and absolute faith. The drama reaches its emotional and symbolic peak in the final episode. Dr. Hawando and his followers prepare one last desperate attempt to spread experimental chemicals across Haesong City using a massive blimp, hoping to create more subjects for their twisted version of evolution. At the same time, the Church of Eternal Salvation keeps its followers trapped under the psychological control, convinced that they are witnessing a divine event. Instead of defeating the cult through brute force alone, the heroes choose a different weapon: truth. Using a megaphone, they expose the lies behind the church and shatter the illusion that has controlled congregation for years. One by one, the followers begin to regain their senses, breaking free from the manipulation that had blinded them. In that moment, the Wonderfools delivers its most powerful message. Sometimes the greatest power isn't teleportation, telekinesis, or super strength. It's the courage to question those who demand blind faith and the willingness to seek the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Before we dive into the theories, here's an important disclaimer. As of now, Netflix officially has promoted The Wonderfools as a limited series and there has been no official confirmation for a season 2. However, the drama's mid-credit scenes leave several unanswered questions, suggesting the writers intentionally left the doors open if the series performed well. So let's break down the biggest theories that could shape a potential season 2. Theory number 1, Dr. Hawondo's return. The biggest clue pointing toward a potential season 2 comes from the mid-credit scenes. Throughout the finale, viewers are led to believe that Dr. Hawando dies during the destruction of the Church of Eternal Salvation and the collapse of his plan. However, the final moments tell a very different story. Deep within the ruins, Wando is shown regaining consciousness, strongly suggesting that Churan's Chinese super serum successfully worked. If that's the case, Wando may have finally achieved the very thing he spent decades chasing: regeneration, or perhaps even immortality. A second season could explore an even more dangerous version of Hawando, one no longer limited by age, illness, or human mortality. Theory number 2. Cheney's power are more special than we think. While most viewers see Cheney as another member of the Wonderfools team, the finale hints that her abilities may be fundamentally different from everyone else's. The original Child of Eternity was believed to be possess the power to restart a failing heart, but Cheney's exposure to contaminated chemical wastewater may have altered those abilities into something far more powerful. Some theories suggest she can regenerate damaged brain tissue, heal irreversible injuries, and restore life in ways no previous subject could. If true, Cheney isn't simply another superhero, she may be the ultimate result of everything Wonder spent decades searching for, making her the most valuable person in the entire Wonderfools universe. Theory number 3, Haesong City is the only beginning. One fascinating possibility is that Haesong was never the center of the mystery. It was only the first chapter. Throughout the series, hints suggest that Wondo's experiment may have extended far beyond a single laboratory. What if there are other survivors, other Wonderkinder, other secret facilities operating across Korea or even internationally? A second season could dramatically expand the scale of the story, transforming it from a small town mystery into a nationwide conspiracy. This would allow viewers to explore new characters, new powers, and new villains while revealing the Haesong city's secrets were only a tiny piece of a much larger puzzle. Theory number 4, Cheney and Unjong's peace won't last long. By the end of the drama, Cheney and Unjong finally achieve something they both have been searching for: normalcy and love. They confess their feelings, begin building a future together, and return to their everyday lives at Haesong City Hall. For a brief moment, it feels like the story is over. But superhero stories rarely end that way. If Wando survives and the Wonderkinder regroup, their peaceful life could be shattered almost immediately. Season 2 may force Cheney and Unjong to embrace their power fully, transforming them from reluctant heroes into the true protectors of Haesong. In many ways, their real journey may have only just begun. After examining the characters, the symbolism, the Y2K setting, the Stranger Things parallels, the Squid Game themes, and the Korea's real cult history, one thing becomes clear. Wonderfools is not just another superhero drama. It's a story about fear, about the influence, about who controls information, about why people choose belief over evidence, and perhaps most importantly, about what happens when ordinary people decide to challenge powerful systems. That's why it feels like Stranger Things, Squid Game, and that's why Korean viewers immediately recognize echoes of real cult scandals. Because beneath all supernatural chaos lies every human question: when the world becomes uncertain, who do we trust? And that question may be the most powerful mystery in the Wonderfools. So, what do you think? Did Wonderfools remind you of Stranger Things or Squid Game, or do you think the cult storyline contains references to Korea's real life scandals? Comment below and let's discuss. If you enjoy deep dives into Korean dramas, hidden references, fan theories, and real life inspirations behind K dramas, then subscribe to my channel. Until next time, bye.